Considering that at the moment, the outside world loosely resembles a bad 90s apocalypse movie, now is a really good time to get into PC gaming. But there are a couple of problems with that. The first one is PC parts availability is really bad at the moment. And secondly, everybody's gone bankrupt, so nobody can afford to buy a badass gaming PC. So the solution to both of these problems is knife battling people on Craigslist for a used office PC. Now before we get into the meat and gravy of this video, I just want to remind you that be safe while knife battling people on Craigslist for used PC parts, because at the moment, the knife battling part of it isn't the most dangerous bit. And then, after the health and safety notice, there's another quick disclaimer. This video is not a buyer's guide. I'm just buying a cheap office PC, I'm gonna throw a cheap graphics card in there, and we're gonna see what kind of gaming performance we get. Now the victim for today's video is actually not a Dell Optiplex. I got my hands on a small form factor Lenovo M93P, and I'm really excited about it. It's got some pretty big drawbacks, which we'll get into later, but it's all small on your desk, and it's got a 4th generation i5 4570 in there, which is a quad-core CPU, and it's pretty fast for gaming. Now this specific spec, with 4 gigs of RAM and no hard drive, you can get in my local area for about 100 Canadian dollars. Although you can go quite a bit cheaper than that if you get an older generation CPU. Now I would recommend adding another 4 gigs of DDR3 RAM in here because that'll help your gaming performance, and I'd recommend upgrading to an SSD because that will make your desktop usability a lot faster. It'll turn it into a little zippy internet browsing beast. Now when it comes to the graphics cards that we can use in this system, the fact that it's all small and has only eaten celery in its life does actually limit the options of graphics cards that we have for it, because we can only use low profile graphics cards. Now if you're on a really tight budget, I'd recommend going with a GT 1030. And I can't believe I just recommended buying a GT 1030, but this is its use case, okay? This is when you buy one. If you have a bit more of a budget, I'd recommend going with a GTX 1650, which is the most powerful low-profile graphics card that you can get at the moment. Now for today's video, I'm actually unironically gonna use a GT 1030. To get this PC gaming ready, we're gonna have to add some more RAM, install a graphics card, and install an SSD. Now some of you may be watching this thinking, Dawid, I am not only broke, but I'm also stupid. I'm terrified. What if I open it up and unleash the curse of Ramses into my house? Don't worry about it. This is honestly a very easy process, and if you've never built a PC before, I'd actually recommend starting with this before building a bigger, more badass PC. Because it'll get you all comfortable with PC hardware on a cheapy PC that doesn't matter if you destroy it accidentally, which you won't. Now the first step is to open it up. You just undo 2 screws at the back, push down this panel and slide it open. Now when it comes to accessing the RAM, on my specific version, I have to take off this plastic cover to actually reveal the RAM. And then all we do is we take the stick of RAM that we have, line up the little notch in the middle, slide it into place and clip it down. Just like that, we have 8 gigs of RAM in our little Lenovo Office PC. Now the next step is to install an SSD, which is also very easy. Now on my specific Lenovo PC, you press down this button, lift up this tray, and then slide out the hard drive or hard drive cage that's in there at the moment. Now for this Lenovo PC, you do need an official bracket to actually properly install an SSD, but I don't have one of those, so I'm gonna do it in a very ghetto fashion. I just use these little scotch tape sticky pads to stick it to the actual hard drive mounting thing, and then I plug it in. Do bear in mind that you have to have the SSD the correct way around and the correct spacing in the tray, otherwise the cables may not reach properly. But there we go, just like that, we have an SSD in our new PC. And then finally, we need to install a graphics card. This again is very easy. The GT 1030 that I have comes with a normal PCI Express bracket on the back. We're gonna have to take that off and put the low profile bracket on so that it'll fit in the little Lenovo PC. This involves removing 1 screw and then unscrewing the 2 little bits next to the actual DVI port. Once you take it off, you put the small bracket on, re-screw everything, and then you line it up with this PCI Express slot in your PC, clip it into place, and there you go! You've got a graphics card, an SSD, and some RAM in your new PC. And then all you still need to do is close it up, and then you're probably gonna have to reinstall Windows on it, but that's also a very easy process. I'll have a video linked in the description below that you can just follow to do that. Now that we have it all set up, let's have a quick look at gaming benchmarks to see what kind of performance we're getting for our not very much dollar. So as you can see, esports titles like CSGO, Dota, Fortnite, Overwatch at low settings at 1080p run very well on this little system. It's actually a pretty good gaming experience. So let me talk you through it a little bit. CSGO gets above 100 frames per second. It occasionally dips below that a bit, but if you have a cheapo 60 Hz monitor, that's gonna feel buttery smooth. Honestly, it's a great CSGO gaming experience. When it comes to Dota, it also runs very well. You can put the graphics settings a little bit higher, and then at 1080p, you're still getting above 60 frames per second, which is the Goldilocks buttery smooth zone. And it just feels like playing Dota on a PC. You really don't feel like you're losing anything out. Amazingly, you can even play PUBG at 1080p with very low settings. It doesn't look amazing, but it runs very well. I'm surprised at how well this little beast runs these competitive games. When it comes to Fortnite, the gaming performance is also very good. You do have to drop the settings quite a lot to get it to be as playable as it is here, but it is very playable. And if you don't have a Fortnite gaming system yet, you'd be able to join your friends now and do whatever it is that people do in Fortnite together. The temperatures while gaming are not amazing, but it's pretty quiet and it's not a worryingly high temperature. So yeah, all of these low power components, you just don't need to worry about them. It's really cool. And then finally, if you want to play more fancy modern games, you can do that too. If you use GeForce Now, this PC turns into a high-end gaming system. Here you can see me playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey at the highest settings at 60 frames per second at 1080p. There's barely any input lag. This system runs GeForce Now very well. It's a great gaming experience. And I even got Metro Exodus with ray tracing running at about 60 frames per second at 1080p. Look at those graphics! Look at that! Some pretty crazy stuff. Now, as I said earlier, the fact that it's a small form factor PC does limit your graphics card options quite a lot, and if you can get a normal sized Dell Optiplex, I would recommend going that route, because you can get something like a GTX 750 Ti or even a GTX 960, which will give you much better graphics card gaming performance than the GT 1030 in here. But yeah, it's up to what you can find and what size you want in your life. When it comes to value for money, this exact PC you can put together today in Vancouver for just under $200 US. But bear in mind, prices do fluctuate over time and differ quite a lot based on what city you're in. Vancouver has a pretty bad used PC market as far as my experience has been, so you can probably do better in the region that you're in. So with that, thank you very much for watching my broke-ass edition gaming PC video. I actually really enjoyed making it. It's a really great little PC. And even the knife battling people on Craigslist for a used PC part was really easy. I found the listing, called the guy up, and picked it up half an hour later. It really wasn't much of an effort. But if you want more information about how to buy used PCs and what to look for and how to not get scammed, I definitely have a look at Tech Yes City. Brian has all of the information about this stuff and he really knows what he's doing. So I would go check that out. Anyway, until the next video, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you liked it. Follow me on whatever social media you want to. And until the next video, bye-bye.